Hello, beautiful and beloved ones. This is Lorelei from the Tightrope to 5D Music Reactions. And if you wonder about that strange title, stick around to the end. I'm going to give you a message about this historic shift from third dimensional consciousness to fifth dimensional consciousness happening now. But first, we're going to look at Nightwish, Ever Dream, Nightwish. I've never seen this, or I just heard of these guys. So literally just heard of them. So first, this is, I think, the third one I've ever watched. So here we go.
But for now, we're gonna start a little softer with Everdream. Ever felt away with me? Just once, that all I need. Entwined in finding you one day. Ever felt away without me? My love, it lies so deep. Have a dream of me.
Oh my, so that's starting it soft, huh? I thought they were starting the concert soft. But look at all the lights. Have you seen these? These lights are kind of fantastic. Let's go back to see and take a look at the lights and tell me, these are fantastic, aren't they? Tell me what you think of these lights. I mean to say about the lights, like, have you seen lights like this before? Because this is pretty fantastic as far as I can see. I don't go to many concerts, though. Okay, what is that business of moving the person? I mean, is this something that happens at concerts a lot? Tell me about this, because I don't know. I think I heard of it, but I thought it was something you only saw in movies. Let's go back and see that. See, they're moving the person along up above their heads. Ever felt away with me? Literally felt away with me, or felt away without me. I don't get that. Like, it says felt A-W-A-Y. It's not like felt a way. So, so please go ahead and comment if you know what the heck that's about. By the way, like my video, like their video. It's in the notes, and subscribe. Here we go.
My
way her hair just like flows away with that light and everything. Let's go back a little bit. They got the wind blowing on her, like specifically. That's pretty cool. Whoa! Oh my, wow. Whew. Well, that is a workout. I'll tell you what. They are just like singing at the top of their lungs. My mom's generation would call it screaming, you know. Screaming in tune. Listen, I grew up with rock, you know, so I can't help but like it because I grew up with it. I have lots of musical genres in my world when I was growing up, including my mom's, my father's, you know, and mine, and you know, my youth there, what they listened to was rock. So I can't help but like it. It was great. I mean, it was really awesome. And I can feel on the cells of my body, it's just agitating, you know. These days I listen to things that are soothing and uplifting, really uplift me, really uplift the cells of my body and make me feel like I'm up with the angels. Okay, so this one doesn't do that. It's like banging, it's agitating. Now it's energizing for sure. It's exciting, but it's not really uplifting, right? Now the words, they are nice. They're kind of uplifting about love and about being with someone and wanting to be with them and them be in this luscious experience and all that. That's uplifting, right? But the feel of it on the body is not so uplifting. So, I mean, it's wonderful. Don't get me wrong, because remember, my job is to let you know what brings you more toward fifth dimension or what brings you more toward third dimension, okay? Fear, pain, suffering, anger. That's a 1 on my scale. Fear, pain, suffering, anger, sadness. And a 10 on my scale is 5D. Love, joy, peace, bliss, abundance, prosperity. Peace, you know. So this one's not in that peace world. So I'm going to go on my scale here for this. I think like a 6.5 on this one. It's good. It's great rock. I'll tell you what, for those of you who like rock, it's great rock. Okay, beloved ones, my message for you today. By the way, if you want to know about me particularly, you can go to the About Me video on this site. And that also leads you to a longer video that tells you about my Forged in the Fire of 3D journey. And if you don't want to hear more about some things that I've created, you can go to the YouTube description and drop down to About Lorelei on Patreon. So let's see, my message for today. Why is it important to focus on what we want? So, and this is a good example here, focus on what we want, right? What do you really want in life, right? So if you want a world of peace and serenity and everyone getting along and joy and bliss and love, right? Everything like about that, like that heaven on earth, that new Garden of Eden. If that's what you want, what kind of music would you listen to? Wouldn't you kind of listen to music that puts you in that frame of mind, that puts you in that space, in that kind of place, right? And it's just natural. Isn't it just natural to do that? If you want to have something, you want to kind of be in the world of that thing. Like they say to people that worry about they like to have more money or whatever, put yourself around people that have a lot of money. Be in the world of people that have a lot of money, right? It's just common sense. It's just natural. And you might also kind of consider this as focusing on that, okay? Putting the focus on that. So in other words, if you can't be around people with a lot of money all the time, right? They're not in your circles or whatever. The other thing that you could do is you could begin to focus on what that looks like. You could begin to make drawings. You could watch videos about it. You could imagine yourself in experiences where there is plenty of money, where you could just, buy what you want and be generous to other people and just put yourself in that. Put the focus on that. If you want to have a romantic, wonderful, beautiful, romantic love in your life, you could put the focus on that. Start making pictures, envisioning in your mind, what's the person like? What are the attributes? What are the qualities of that person? I've done this, by the way. And then I came up with my twin flame. Never mind. That's a long story. I talk about that in another video. But, so like whatever it is we want, it's kind of common knowledge anymore. We've kind of come to the place to understand that we want to put the focus on what we want and put as little focus on what we don't want as possible. See, this is why we've gotten so gummed up here in this third dimensional reality, not being able to move forward, right? Because there's been a lot of yucky stuff going on. And as soon as that yucky stuff going on, we look at it and we stare and we watch the news. And they're talking about hurricane and another hurricane and another hurricane and another hurricane. And all that collective focus, see, what we don't think about, we don't realize, right? All that collective consciousness, that collective focus in that direction of that hurricane is actually making it happen even more. It's actually putting in place, like you can't even understand like the power of the consciousness of even just one human being. Now we put hundreds of thousands looking at hurricanes. And suddenly they're springing up left, right, and center, right? You remember that a few years back? Now, some of that obviously could be, now we know about weather modifications and some nasty kind of folks in high places doing nasty things. Granted, it can be that, but it doesn't matter because if we weren't putting that collective focus on it, that couldn't even spring up as much. But that's what is happening each and every time something terrible happens, and we all run to the news, right? Oh my God, right? Not that we should not want to know kind of what's going on, but it's kind of like I view the news anymore, especially the local news. This one had an accident. This one, there was a burglarization here. There was a robbery here. There was somebody got shot here. It's kind of like, what do you call it? Like, it's kind of like nosy neighbors, or it's like when you're going down the highway and you're gawking over at that accident and you're not looking at the road, you're gawking over at the accident. Obviously you're putting your focus where you shouldn't be putting it, right? Because what you want to do is drive on that road to be safe. But here you are like this, and that's when you have a possibility of an accident, right? A real strong possibility. That's obvious, right? That's like such an easy example, but it actually works that way in every other way too. It's kind of like gossip. I consider that was the word I was looking for. I consider watching all of this, local news like gossip. It's like the gossip newspaper, the gossip paper. It's all the stuff that's happening. Well, what is it my business, right? Why do I need to know each and every little thing that happened in this city, okay, to somebody else Now, obviously we want crime and things like that to go down, but our looking at it like that doesn't help it to go down. It makes it worse. So why do I want to put my strong, God-given, divine focus, my divine consciousness on all of this nasty stuff? You know, it's kind of like what we used to do when I was in the training, which was with a company called Landmark Worldwide, which is, well, by the way, a wonderful company to do courses like the Landmark Forum. I highly suggest it to you for personal growth and development. But when we're in that course and we come into that course and everybody goes up on the stage, whoever wants to go up there and talks, and they're like, oh yeah, this is how lousy my husband is. He does this and he does that and he does this and he does that. And by the end of the course, they're going, this is how great my husband is. He does this, he does that, he does this, he does that. Somehow, in the course of those 3 days and an evening, we stopped focusing on the crap about leaving the cover off the toothpaste. And we began to focus on this guy who brings us flowers on our packs our lunch, whatever. I'm just coming up with things, right? We began to focus again on what we fell in love with in that person. And lo and behold, that person begins to show up that way more and more and more. Now, everyone has free will, so we can't always say that that person is going to, you know, like shift in everything in perfect ways and become our perfect mate. The point of the matter is we have so much power by what we focus on to shift what's going on out in the world. Now, I promise, too, that if everybody in the world stopped staring at all the alcoholics and saying what a terrible thing, that would start to dim down. Looking at the drug addicts. Stop looking. Look at the sunshine. Look at the air. Look at the trees. That's what I mean, not the air. You can't look at the air. Look at the trees. Look at the grass. Look at the flowers. I do this in the city when I'm walking around, and I'm looking at all these beautiful things. Now, there might be trash every which way, and usually there is, but I'm not looking at that. And this makes my walk the most wonderful thing, because guess what I'm living within? I'm living within my own little oasis of flowers around my house that has sprung up. You know, in conjunction with me seeing flowers, I begin to create flowers everywhere. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So all I can say, I just don't even know what to say to have everyone listening to me understand the importance of where to put your focus. I promise you, after 17 years of personal growth and also being a sort of a life coach and everything else, that where we put our focus, if we focus on what we want, it begins to come to be more and more and more and more in our life. If we focus on what we don't want, that begins to come to be more and more and more in our life. And that's true for the collective consciousness as well. And that's why it's important for this fifth dimensional shift to focus and think about all the wonderful things we are bringing forth in this new earth. And not so much focus on all the chaos of politics and, you know, who's getting arrested, who's getting put in jail for what and everything. Yeah, you kind of got to know a little bit, maybe once a day, or your chocolate, that'll be your chocolate cake, you know, watched once in a while. But not to absorb ourselves in it, to really absorb ourselves in the beauty that we are creating. Okay, beautiful ones, I'm sending you that fifth dimensional energy, the love, the peace, the joy, the bliss, this Garden of Eden like springing forth up around us. Here it comes. Namaste. I honor the God in you.